G'day and welcome back to more Space Engineers Survival. We've managed to get our solar tower with its panels up to a decent size, which is pretty amazing. But there's been an upgrade to rotors, so let's go check and see if everything's working properly, because I suspect it's not. One of the changes in the very last patch was to change the rotors so they again have a lock. If we click on our horizontal ones, you can see that they're locked. We don't want them to be locked. The script won't work if they're locked. Also, Izzy has upgraded his script since I last loaded it. So to upgrade your script to the newest version, select your programmable block, click on Edit, browse the workshop, and it should automatically be updated. And if we click OK, you can see that the text here changed, which means we've got the new version. Check code, remember and exit, and everything will be back to good. Now, hopefully, we should have a situation now where this will work normally and properly. There's a huge number of solar cells that are needed for finishing off this tower now. It's phenomenal. I can't believe we upgraded it that big. But that means we've got to wait for those to be finished. And that would take a while. We need something else to do in the meantime then. And I've got a few ideas, but the one I want to do, and that I think will be a decent use of the day, will be something that's heading towards this Space Pirate District headquarters, which is our ultimate goal. We want to be able to wipe the pirates clean off this planet, and if we can get rid of those headquarters, which will be a tough target, that will be the biggest part of clearing them out. So, we're going to need to figure out how we can attack such a formidable target. And I'm not silly enough to go after it first. What I think we'll do is build something to scout out where the other bases are. I know that the pirate headquarters is somewhere off this way. I think it's off that way. But some other little bases are hanging out in the areas around where we're situated. And I don't know where they are, since they don't show up on my radar. Which means we're going to need to scout them out. And they're probably defended, and they're probably going to be defended by drones. So we're going to need something that can at least survive long enough for me to make an escape. We've got a mining vessel that can fly itself all the way to the mines, so we don't really need a vehicle for that duty anymore. So perhaps this little Baracus with its mohawk could be turned into a, let's call it a light scout vehicle. I think a single turret will fit on top, and if we check, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks. Yep, it'll fit on top. There's a conveyor port on the top of the connector which could attach to the turret. If we expand our armor out a bit to cover up the cockpit a bit better, and most importantly, upgrade these wheels to something that's actually substantial enough to get over a few more bumps, then once all that's done, if we're happy with where we're at, we could manage to get a few thrusters onto it. Even if they're not vectored, if we can just allow ourselves to do a little hop, we might be able to get over some barriers that are otherwise impassable. So I think that's something we can do. But first off, if we have a look inside here, our battery has almost no power. So to fix that, we're going to need to connect up to our base. And I'm going to build a really cheap connection. Something else I've discovered since the last time is that the wheels actually use up a little bit of power. Well, they seem to, because when I turn them off, the fully recharged time goes down just a little bit. And so does our connector. Our antenna and everything else is off. Our battery's got a little bit of charge, and it'll keep charging with that solar panel while we build up our connector. And I think I might just about have enough components to be able to build a new connector. Let's plan this out. If we want a power conduit, we're going to need to get it down to this relatively flat bit of ground. And I think we could do this nice and cheaply with some light armor slopes. So that it doesn't look horrendously ugly. I mean, it's going to be ugly. But this is very temporary. As soon as we have some... Wait, could I put it there? Maybe we do this. Turn off auto rotate because it drives me insane. Grab a connector. And this is only for power, that's why I'm not piping this up. Need a few more computers and then this will be finished. We're going to need some way of lifting this off the ground so that we can actually place the large wheels on here. The 5x5 wheels have a 4-point connection, so we'll need to lift this up a reasonable amount in order to do that. And I could do something clever with rotors and pistons and lifting this off the ground like I did the solar tower. Or I could go really basic. And let's go really basic. What we're going to start with is one of these. Let's roughly line this up with the sun's direction of travel so that we keep our solar panel functioning until we connect up to the base. And we place a few of these. Then we drive up onto this and grind down each of the side pieces. We should effectively have a vehicle lift or a vehicle jack. Try and drive up on there. See if this works. Slightly less oh right, I've turned off my wheels. Nope, not that one. Okay. Definitely less exciting than the solar tower upgrade, and those gyroscopes are way too powerful. I'm gonna do some damage. Okay, come on. I think that's about right. Let's start with running down these two. Oh, did not put the park brake on. Did not put the park brake on. That would help. Grind down this one while the others are keeping it nice and elevated. We can then... And I'm going to do this a bit differently to... So you can get access to all of the wheels from this particular menu. However, since I'm going to be placing a couple of these, if we type in the search, we can actually get our left and our right ones separated, so I can just click on which one I want. We currently want the right, and I like doing the left and rights because I like the texture on the wheel to be lined up correctly. Something you might notice here, we've got our wheel and it is intersecting our suspension. That will get corrected as soon as we unlock the park brake. I don't know why they're misaligned. Hopefully this is a bug that gets fixed very soon, but it doesn't seem to cause any clangs, so I'm just going to ignore it and hope it gets better, because that seems like a thing you do. Let's grind down these two, take off this wheel. Oop. Now I might need to place that there so that we can get this suspension on, and we want our right as well. Yep, good stuff. So now we've got half of this thing finished. And I need more steel plate. Okay. Now, let's see. I don't know if we're going to get enough clearance if I drop this side down. Well, probably should have done the front first since it definitely had enough clearance. Oh well. Oh no, I need to do the front first. Makes it easier to remember which one is which. If I do the front wheels first, they'll be named number 1 of... Oh dear. Oh, I ruined some pieces. Dang it. Alright, well. That was an error. Okay, we got our front left, and we got our rear left. Wheel could not be placed. Awesome. Just what I didn't need. So, as I was saying, if I place the front ones at the front, if I place the front ones first, they'll be named number 1. Which means when I hop in the cockpit and as we unpress the park brake, we can see that everything pops out. Now I wonder, we know that this left 2 is our rear wheel. Can we add a wheel? Yes, we can. And we can go weld that. And we're good. We've now got giant wheels. We have a monster truck. That means I can grind out these lifting grids. And we've used a very cheap, very simple system to lift this up. And now that it's ready to go, let's try and connect this up to the base. I think we might end up needing to drop the rear suspension lower in order to get this connector to line up. Have a look. We are way too high. Might even... wonder if I move this connector up to here if it'll work better. Let's grind this thing down. Do I have enough inventory room? No, I do not. So let's place down... we'll place down our new connector. Weld it up as we grind this down. Attempt number 2. Let's fix those rear suspensions up. Again, we will set our strength to 7. I think that's about right for the weight of this vehicle. I built something a bit similar to this, so I'm hoping the suspension settings will be about right. Okay, that's looking closer. Let's turn on our connector now. Let's see if we get any connector lock. Oh, looking good. It's lifting up our front wheels, but that's okay. There we go. We have connection. Let's grind down our solar panel since we don't need this little one anymore. Use its cells on the main tower. And I'm going to set this battery to recharge. Since 15 hours is a bit longer than I want to wait. 15 minutes, yeah, that's more like it. While that's recharging, I'm going to build on the next solar panel, as I'm pretty sure we have enough pieces. Chuck all this away for the time being. Oh yeah, we've got enough. And I do have enough hydrogen. I've got 100% in my tank at the moment. Don't want any repeats of last time, or worse than that, any times of me being flattened like a pancake against the ground. Now that we've got the rover attached to the base, we're going to need a way to fight back against anything that attacks us. And that's going to mean we need a turret. And I think a turret's going to be our best bet, since we're potentially going to be attacked by things above us. As I measured out before, there is enough room on top of this in order to build that turret. Let's get rid of this antenna, because it's in the way. Ooh. I do not have the inventory room. Ooh. That's a way of doing this. Drop those in there for the time being. I'm going to need them for this eventually anyway. Radio components are huge. So let's clear off all this. We'll clear off all this armor and hopefully I won't grind down too much of the ship itself. While I was grinding down that armor, it got me thinking about this medium cargo container, particularly when I accidentally ground it down. I'd like to leave it on there. And I have one reason for that. If I manage to shoot down something when I'm miles away from base, I'm going to want to grind that thing down. And that cargo container is going to be needed in that situation so that I can actually bring those parts back. Let's grab our Gatling turret. And we'll place it down right there. We've got all the parts we need. Oh yeah. And now that we've got that up, we're going to need a way to connect it up to the conveyor system so we can rearm this thing. And that will do it. And we have something that looks a bit wonky, but is starting to look like a light attack vehicle. I'm going to grind down some of this side armor and add on a few blocks, and then we'll have a look at what else we can do. What I'd like to do with this armor is try and bring it a little bit up to protect the side of the cockpit. Right now the cockpit is incredibly exposed and any stray bullet is likely to hit it. It's still probably going to be paper thin even when I put the armor on there, but it'll make me feel better, even if it's not actually functional. So we're going to do it. I'm going to need to grind down all of these bits at the back as well, so that they work with this new design. I'll get rid of that. Because of these larger wheels having a 2x2 connection, there's a few extra bits of armor that I would like to put on here so that they don't just look like they're floating in the breeze. And that means changing the design a little bit. Not too much, but enough that everything looks like it actually works. Oh, what am I doing? Wrong buttons. Use the inverted corner there. Use a light armor corner there. Light armor there. These are probably going to half of the time get snapped off, but that's fine. Yeah, I think that'll look a bit better at the back, a bit more sturdy. And can I even get in there? Ah, nuts. Alright, grind this off so that I can go in and weld that piece. Yeah, turn. Yep, got it. Got it. Alright, place that in. And we'll come back when I've done this side and the other side, all welded up at the rear. Actually, check that. Instead, let's lay out this side completely before we jump to the other side. Gonna need to move this light, I think, as I'd rather not have the gyroscope fully exposed. And I think I have an idea of how to deal with that. Given this is meant to be a military vehicle now, I guess it should... Oh, that's the cockpit. I guess it should be in heavy armor. But if I also want it to be able to do short hops, I want it to be light. So it's going to have to trade survivability for maneuverability. And that is a common trade-off. Oh, not where I wanted you. Do that, then an inverted corner. Block there. Then we can also do this. That there. Oh dear. Ran out of hydrogen. I do that so often. We can add a little bulge out here. That'll allow us to have a little bit of extra protection over that gyroscope. We can do the same on the other side. Then we just need to figure out what we're going to do with the front bit. I think I'm actually going to go for these. On there, on there. We're going to lose a bit of visibility out of the cockpit, but that's fine. I usually drive in third person anyway. But more importantly, a couple of stray bullets will get stopped by this armor instead of stopped by the cockpit. Oh, right. Out of hydrogen. Let's fill up that and come back and weld. And yeah, it kind of does look pretty wonky with that bulge, but maybe we'll come up with a better idea later. Let's color it all. So Shift P to select the right color, and then Control Shift middle mouse to color the entire grid. And because wheels are subgrids, they don't get colored, so let's color them. And now that it's not in white, that bulge is a lot more subtle, and I'm a bit happier with it. I think we can get it to look even more acceptable if we do this. Inverted corner, oh, not that one, that way. And that way. Then a slope. Oh, won't let me place that until I place these. A slope like that. Then with these going around back, instead of that bulge looking like it's not part of the original shape, now it kind of looks like it continues around a bit more and is maybe slightly more deliberate. So I'm going to quickly match the left-hand side to the right, and then we'll come back when it's done. Alright. Well, it's not pretty, but it is a military ship, so it doesn't need to be pretty. It just needs to work. Let's take this thing out for a test drive. Unfortunately, I don't have any ammunition, so I don't want to drive it too far. Disconnecting our connector. We're going to need to get all our wheel controls on our hotbar. But even at their current settings, these are much more stable than what we had before. Let's head down to the ice and have a bit of a look around down there. See how easy it is to get back up here. That's a bit steep. Oh, that survived much better. I don't even know if the other one would have survived that. And you can see why I set it to about 7% on the strength. As we do any sort of landing, the wheels do take up some of the slack on their suspension. Why aren't we able to brake? Brake! Slow down! I can't slow down. This is not good. This is terrible. Ah. Oh. Oh man. What? Why couldn't I stop? That was horrendous. I think I might need a bit more friction if I want to stop under those sort of conditions. I wonder if I can make it up this hill. What does it look like at the top? No, probably not. I want to see if there is another way out of this valley, actually. Maybe if we go down to the ice and we hook around to the west, I think it is, because the ice is roughly north of us. There might be a way up on top of the mountains. Which is what I wanted to do on day one, but couldn't. I think once this thing gets a few little thrusters on it, it will be a very effective all-terrain vehicle. And relatively cheap on the old battery power. Since it's telling me I've got 4 days left. I'm mainly using gyroscope steering with this. And you can do that when the friction's low because it won't grab too much. It'll kind of slide. There's our ice way off in the distance. Let's head down there and see if there's another way out. Whoa, 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 whoa. No! Oh dear. How did we survive that? Oh, I'm a terrible driver. Terrible driver. Thankfully not the worst builder, since this thing's managed to survive my driving so far. Even though these wheels are probably set up in a terrible layout. They're quite forgiving as it turns out. Trying to decide what this looks like now. I think it looks a little bit like a four-legged spider. The big fat abdomen at the back. Tiny little nose at the front. There's the head. I definitely think it looks like a miniature spider. Or a mother spider that's pregnant and ready to lay 1 billion eggs. Well, I can make it down here in reasonable fashion. Oh no! Oh no! No, no! Bad, 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 bad. What the? Okay. Well, that's a thing. So there's a base on the other side of the ice. We have found an enemy. Now I wonder. I'm going to try something. We go GPS, new from current position. And if we move these markers, will we be able to move it to where we want? So that we can mark where that is. Let's try this out. I've never tried this before. I don't know which way I need to move this. Let's move it 1,000 in the Y direction. Where did it move? It's kind of... Probably don't want to move it in the Y direction. Well, we do a little bit, but... Let's see what happens when we move it in the X direction. That's 1,000 X toward... So we want to move it the other way. This could work. This could be a way to... It was 18.9. Let's move this to 19.500. Oh yeah, that's roughly in the direction of it. This could actually be a way to create a GPS marker where your enemy base is, without actually having to go there. And then you could use autopilot drones to attack it. Now, I think if we move this to... Okay, that's the wrong direction. That moved it deeper into the ground. I want to move it up out of the ground. Okay. So I could spend a while fiddling here, and I could probably get that marker roughly over the ore handling facility. And we'll come back once I've got it close enough. Alright. I think 6.32 and 6.44. It's within 120 meters. That's pretty good. And I don't think Splitsy 1 is an appropriate name for this. I think... no, let's name it something a bit more useful. Enemy base 1. Now, when I drive away, I'm still going to have an idea of where that is, even once I lose its antenna. There we go. Enemy base 1 is about there. And it means I know I've got to keep out of its antenna spawn range, and I think I got completely lucky to avoid it that time. As the typical default, and I did change some of them, but apparently didn't change that one. The usual default for the antenna spawn range is 6 kilometers, and I was 400 meters outside that. If I'd been derping around anymore and not paying attention, I would have ended up attracting a drone. And right now, I'm all looks. This little spider bot, it does not have any ammunition. So I would have been dead. And I probably would have allowed myself to die because otherwise I'd have led it back to my solar tower, which has no ability to protect itself, since I have no turrets at home. And, even better than that, I haven't welded the rotten thing up. So it would die in seconds. Hey, got very lucky on that one. Like I got lucky when I ran into that tree, and when I was scooting down the hill at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Basically, today I've gotten really, really lucky. And I'm okay with that. Sometimes, luck is more useful than skill. But, I suppose when you plan, you get more luck. Let's head on home. Finish up the remaining solar panels that we've got cells for, which oh, rough. I think with our current wheels we should be able to get ourselves out of this little snafu. Yep. Nice and out of it intact. Excellent. Get ourselves back home, add on the solar panels. Then we need to figure out what we're going to do with the night. I'm not game to try and attack that base at night, as I'm going to have to probably drive away from whatever comes out of it at a fairly rapid clip. And if I don't... Well, if I'm driving away at a rapid clip, you've seen what happens even when I'm driving slowly. It's not going to end in my favor. It's going to end horribly. I'd say that's a fairly successful scouting mission. Managed to identify the location of a base, managed to mark the base, and we did so without getting pinged. This little recon vehicle is already working out well. Now that we're back at base, I should probably turn off our spotlight. This little spider bot's proved to be reasonably functional. It's actually managed to survive my driving, which is nice. Our solar panels appear to be trying to find the light that is now well behind that mountain. And we've managed to identify the location of an enemy base, which is very, very handy. It should help us stay safe from it, since I know roughly where it is, and I've managed to get those GPS points onto it. Which means at the next daytime period, if we've managed to weld up enough of this tower that it shouldn't get destroyed with a single shot, we might load this up with some ammunition and head on out there and see what it sends to attack us. There's that and plenty more to come, so I'll see you then.